Hello everyone, welcome to my channel. I'm Kissy. So today there was an interesting conversation in regards to peace and war. And the reason I want to discuss it is because they were bringing into the whole concept religion, and they mentioned a few things. So I just want to tell a little story, one that I think a lot of us have heard of, and it's the story of Jesus. Please bear with me. I'm not here to speak necessarily religion to you. Consider this like any other story, but from with a twist, so to speak. Hold on, I'm looking something up. Give me one quick second. All right. All right. Once upon a time, there was a woman, and she was not wealthy. She was married. She had her husband. So just put yourself in the shoes of this woman in today's time. A young woman married to her man, probably hoping for a better life, wishing for a better life, dreaming of a better life, looking for some kind of solace, some kind of, there's got to be more than this provincial life. And so she looks up into the sky. She asks for a miracle. She seeks a higher power. And then a miracle occurs. She gets a visitor. Someone comes to her, a messenger, and lets her know she's going to have a child. Now, we've all had dreams. We've all had visions. We've all had messengers that give us a word, or that give us something positive, or something that inspires us to a great vision. And we just, it's a dream, and it becomes this belief. We saw it in the dream. We got the hit in our intuition, and something said to us, this is going to be your saving grace. And so she tells her husband, I'm going to have a baby. It isn't yours. God is giving, I'm having God's child. And he doesn't believe her, or well, initially, but he eventually, okay, she says, God told her she's going to have this child, and eventually she does. Eventually it becomes a big deal because she has this child. Now, in today's time, that would look like, I'm just trying to give it a modern twist. You'll have a girl, maybe not too content with her situation, maybe not too content with her partner, and maybe she wants something more. She wants to create something. She wants them to have something more. So she has this ideal. She's following this, she's trusting blindly this dream. I know we can do it. I know we can make this happen. We're going to have a beautiful life. And so they create a beautiful life. They have a child together. Now, Jesus ends up being everything that she could ask for. He's strong. He works. He's everything. Okay, in my head, it came out a lot more, less polite. It was more like everything her husband couldn't be. Everything her man wasn't, that disappointed her about him, her son became all those wonderful things. I gotta say it the way it came through, right? Just, okay, I'm sorry. I'm not trying to like sugarcoat anything, but I know there's people that are really sensitive about, the Bible story and the religion and Christianity. I'm not mocking the religion at all. I'm personalizing it. If I was Mary in that story, I was probably, and I don't know because I haven't really read those. I've seen the movie, I've heard the stories, but I have never sat through and read the entire Bible. But considering life and belief and faith and what that would look like for me and how that would resemble that situation, you have a dissatisfied wife who has a vision of a better life, eventually gets this message from spirit that says, yes, you're going to have this child, whether it's that business, that baby, that marriage, that career, whatever in modern times. But in this case, it manifests in her son being everything that her husband was not. He was, not, I don't know anything about her husband Joseph in terms of how he was or how the character was, but according to the stories, Jesus was very strong. He was a carpenter, and he was very wise. He was lost for some time as a child, and he was taught, things that his mother couldn't have conceived. His father never even thought of. So this is a child that exceeded his parents' intellectual hunger, this was consciousness that manifested from her desire, from her faith that she was going to produce something grand. He was becoming all of this. He fought the status quo. He was a protector. Think about those times also. You had to worry whether you would eat, where you would get your food, if you were going to be well during the winter seasons. When he was born, they had to go to and walk through all that cold. I don't know. It sounds so stupid right now, but that's okay. I think you'll understand my point. All of those struggles and all of those things that led to her conceiving this child, and then him becoming this perfect child, only for that child to be condemned by the people because he was more powerful than what society was at the time. He threatened the norm of her society. So I say that this was her imagination. This was her dream. Mary the mother, the religion of Christianity, to me, was the dream of the mother. And that was destroyed by the collective of the, what was previous. Because, okay. In other words, they destroyed it on the physical. They destroyed it. They hung him on the cross. But he resurrected. In other words, her vision, her dream, she kept producing. And I know this is sounding like, what the fuck is she talking about? But it's... This is what it is. When I didn't... what happened with Neptune recently? Didn't Neptune go direct or go into another sign or something? Didn't it leave Pisces? Let me find out. I know this has to do with that. Goodness gracious. One moment, please. I think you're catching my drift. So, in modern times, in comedic terms, because I don't want to sound rude. All right, so the sun is in Sagittarius, but Neptune is it's in 29 degrees Pisces. Okay, so it's at the last degree, the culmination, okay? And to me, it's like, let's assume this was you, Divine Feminine. You could have been in a bad relationship or unsatisfying situation in life, and you're like, God, your higher power, something, and then you get this vision and they tell you you're going to have this child and it's going to be great. But then as the child develops and everything happens, they take your child. They take what was most sacred to you. And so your faith, or the fact that you were right, it's proven that his resurrection is proof that the intuitive gift you received was true. So now it's supposed to live on not in physical, right? But um, the faith, the story of the ending of that story was that he resurrected. In other words, he proved to be everlasting and real. Just like your dream that came to be and is everlasting and real. You set out to produce an idea that manifested, and that idea came to be. And on the surface, in the physical, it seems like it was like they destroyed that dream. But when it resurrects, it means it comes back in another form, or it never dies. In other words, that dream never dies. So now the part two, part two, that dream is the realization of that. And now it came, okay, the reason it came to be is because of the conversation that I was tuning into was about war and peace. And it was like, exclude women and children. And I'm thinking, okay, so if you're excluding women and children from war, then you're saying that the evil there is man, the idea, the thought, man. The mind of man destroys is the implication, not women and children. So the innocence of a child, the empathy of a woman, those things can't kill. But in thought we can kill. It's just an idea. You can conceive anything. Anything can come out of the mind. But do we act on that? So, anywho, it was kind of like that with the whole, and it just showed itself to me in that way, like, you know, do you have faith in? So again, putting myself in those shoes, I had a dream. I had everything I wanted. Like I'm not just somebody's daughter. Okay. As long as no one can earn it. I forgot the words. Billie Eilish. Anyway. The way that you see yourself. Okay. Alright, so you have a vision, a dream, an idea that comes to, that you're so certain, there's no proof in the world, but you know that this came from God. You know that God sent you a message. God said, this is for you. This is your dream. This is your truth. This is going to pass. This is coming to pass. And doesn't matter what it is for you personally. That same faith that brought about Jesus for Mary, that brought about the all of that. And when you think of the narrative online with Charlie Kirk being so, about, Christianity, and then he dies, it's almost like saying that idea always gets shot down. The idea of a better world gets shut down when it comes from a woman. Ha! That was that, baby. That's what the insight came in. That's where you get Hecate. Hecate. The dark divine mother that destroy at all cost the unconscious that arises from that seething pain, that energy that lives with all of us. When you want something that you cannot get, or when something that you loved and cultivated with so much conviction is destroyed by man. And I say man, not the physically masculine only. It could be, but man, the idea, how our faith is tested, and we cannot allow the idea to destroy it, to come to be. And I think that was the lesson of that The idea of Jesus that was not protected, of peace for all and turn the other cheek and be so kind. It wasn't protected. It was destroyed because the unconscious, it was one conscious person in a collective of unconscious people. Today, luckily, we have the internet. Today, luckily, we have people that maybe in my inner circle, there might be one, maybe two would be great, of really, yeah, we're in this together and we can influence a bigger, we can balance out the chaos that arises in unconscious spaces, because we all have unconsciousness within us. We can all be enticed to act out of control, out of our ability to manage the overwhelming amount of energy. I think that was it. But you know what I'm saying, right? I hope you understand what I'm saying. I'm not mocking religion at all. It's none of that. I'm just giving a little side version of the conversation. And what I believe is that just like Mary, the divine feminine conceived something beautiful when she met her masculine. That was to her the knowing of God. Why divine masculine and not anything prior? And I'll say because it's like the awakening. You were awoken to a higher love within yourself. Your heart broke open. Your heart opened to a love that's beyond the physical. When you open to a love beyond the physical, you can easily have faith and not fear anything. It was like Jesus awoke in his mother that truth before he was born. And then Mary Magdalene, as his counterpart, received that knowing from him, not from the mother. It's energy, folks. It's energy. It's beautiful. And when you know what it is, when you know it. In other words, when your heart, when it's truly that love of Christ, is that compassionate love that comes beyond the flesh, you know that's your counterpart. You know that's your person. And when that idea is challenged because the world around you doesn't know that level of love, doesn't understand that level of because they'll say, oh, it can't, how can you be that way? How can you love some? How can you trust so blindly in something that isn't physically there? Because when you feel it more than anything you've ever felt in reality, when something that isn't real is felt more than something that is, it makes you question what reality is. So that's just my take. I know, cray today, just a tad, but I don't know. I was about to hang it up, and then I said, no, wait, hold that thought. Okay, I think all the points were made that I wanted to make. I think I said it the way I wanted to say it. So, all right, that's all, folks.